Yo, I'm back with another reaction video. We got Trap Universal. We got the dark underworld of Houston, Texas, man. We finna get into this reaction video. Every time I drop a video, twin, I need y'all to turn my shit up, man. I'm dropping bangers back to back. Every other day we got another video coming out, twin. Tap the fuck in right now, nigga. But let's get into the video.
While Mexico is usually the focus of human trafficking on this side of the world, the United States is the largest and one of the main destinations on Earth for trafficked women and children to end up. But when there's a market, you have to ask, who are the buyers? This is a problem you can't mention without talking about Texas, a state so large you can drive for hours through its country roads while barely running into a single town or settlement. And yet, from Dallas to Laredo, if you look hard enough, you'll find an underground network worth billions, with Houston sitting in prime location for a hub going in both directions. While we know very well of the Mexican cartel's involvement in human trafficking as well as the drug trade, a question that I feel is not asked enough is who the buyers are. For years, I would have thought that the US was the main country of origin for many trafficked peoples in the Western Hemisphere, but apparently, Americans make up the main customer base for more than just narcotics. From several Houston bars and nightclubs found to be secret hubs with hidden rooms and underground tunnels, to sicarios coming across the border to collect debts and, if needed, commit brutal murders. The Crips, the Bloods, Norteños and Sureños, and other gangs are just the surface of what's going on in the city of Sam Houston. Still one of the most beautiful metro areas in America, this video will only scratch the surface of America's Lone Star State. From the Alamo to the present, let's get into the history of Houston, Texas. The area that will become Houston was explored by two brothers from New York that came to Texas shortly before the Texas Revolution, when colonists from the US and the Tejanos, or the Hispanic Texans descended from the mestizos who settled around the area after the Spanish colonization of the Americas, rebelled against the Mexican authority that controlled the region. Instead of fighting in the war, the brothers chose to get rich by ensuring that the supply lines remained open. They even constructed a warship that terrorized coastal towns in Mexico, until one of the brothers convinced his wife to use part of her inheritance to purchase land around the Buffalo Bayou, the river that runs straight through the middle of Houston, for about $5,000, which is insane for the gold mine that Houston will become. Houston, by the way, the surname that the city was named for, actually means Hugh's Town. And it comes from when Sam Houston's ancestor, Sir Hugh, a Knights Templar back in Scotland, was given land by the king, which includes the original Houston in Scotland, which you can still visit today, by the way. And fun fact about Sir Hugh, he was most likely killed in battle atop an extinct volcano at the Battle of Haddon in what is today northern Israel during the Crusades. A family of soldiers for sure. At least two more of Sam Houston's ancestors will be killed in battle after Sir Hugh. And Sam himself was wounded in battle about 700 years later during the Battle of San Jacinto in the Texas Revolution, where his horse was shot and his ankle was shattered by a stray bullet, which is how we got this very cool painting of the great general and future Mexican president Santa Anna surrendering to a wounded Sam Houston, which today hangs in the Texas State Capitol building in Austin. Now, it's no surprise that just a few years after the city of Houston eventually struck oil, the population doubled. And by the 1930s, it was already the most populous city in Texas. And like many cities, the Second World War brought in more jobs, which brought in more people from all around the country. And Houston also has a very extensive drainage system because it needs to, being almost completely flat, and it kind of used to be a marsh before it's inhabited. And with the several species of lizards, poisonous snakes, and alligators in Houston, it's no wonder that the original price for the area was so cheap, as even the
See, I ain't know all that about no Houston. God damn, what you mean? Alligators, reptiles, and all type of bullshit? Hell no.
Native Americans didn't seem to want any part of it, because by the time Sam Houston was born, the area had already been uninhabited for over 100 years. But on to the serious stuff. The US-Mexico border is one of the most crossed international borders in the world, and it's been like this for a very, very long time. Don't let the news fool you into thinking that this is something that was just allowed to happen in the past 10 years. And these are legal crossings I'm speaking of. Illegal crossings, well, it took us until 2006 to discover that the Sinaloa cartel had already built a 2,400-foot long underground tunnel equipped with drains and a ventilation system between Tijuana and San Diego. And this is just one of the over 183 tunnels we found between
ain't gonna lie, that shit like so crazy though. Like How the hell do they do that shit? Like, what made them be like, okay, we gonna do this. This how we gonna enter. This how we gonna enter. Like, how the hell do they know that shit? Like, them Mexicans, bro, they
1990 and 2015.
Sure.
Now, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, more than 50,000 people are trafficked in, not out, into the United States, with Texas containing a quarter of all people trafficked into the United States, most ending up in Houston. And I'm not talking about migrants that just came here for work, or even gang members. These numbers make up essentially sex slaves and forced laborers, with about 22,000 calls and 1,700 emails coming in per year to the National Human Trafficking Resource Center. So this is different than human smuggling, which is where many illegal immigrants are smuggled into the country in exchange for money. These more than 50,000 people a year are mostly brought in by force and threats of violence.
No, that's crazy, bro.
This also includes forced employment, such as maids or nannies. Those, in fact, are usually forced by married couples in Texas that are from the victim's country of origin. Now, we can go back to 2014 when Lena Sun and Chinglung Ma, two affiliates of Hong Lee Enterprises, a sort of temp job agency in Houston, that not only forced the immigrants they recruited from Mexico and Central America to work 12 hours a day for less than minimum wage, but they also lumped them together in overcrowded housing while charging them for it. But more recently, in two separate occasions within the last 2 years, multiple bars and nightclubs in Houston had to be shut down once it was discovered that they were just fronts for human trafficking, including 9 being shut down within the past 6 months, with most of them being in close proximity to each other. But unfortunately, it's not as easy for law enforcement to crack down on the residential brothels that operate in the city. In some cases, men and women can fall into debt after being promised the opportunity for education and a better life in the United States. And much like the kafala system in the UAE, these are just lies, and the smuggler often raises the debt owed for unforeseen expenses while keeping the victim in the dark about how much they actually owe. And when these people get into the United States, many of them being minors, they're often afraid of what will happen if they try to report any of this to law enforcement, whether that's due to a language barrier, distrust of the justice system, or even worse, their own ignorance to the fact that they are being victimized. It's also important to remember that many trafficked people from Mexico were teen mothers when they were abandoned by their families, mostly due to the horrific circumstances that led to their pregnancy, and the human traffickers exploited their financial situation and lack of education. Houston has an estimated 200 active brothels at any time, with 2 new openings each month. Interstate 10 from El Paso to Houston has become one of the biggest human trafficking routes in the United States, and the traffickers use Houston's large Hispanic and Asian populations to their advantage by blending these girls into society as Hispanic or Asian Americans. And yes, Houston is also a popular destination from Southeast Asia. But of course, money laundering is a big crime here too. The CJNG, or the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, also had, as of January 2025, one of their top commanders in Houston overseeing a large multinational money laundering operation where large amounts of money made from the drug trade was cleaned up through the purchase and sale of cell phones using 2 Houston phone stores, with at least one of them being in Southwest Houston. Unfortunately for the CJNG, one of these stores was actually an undercover shop set up by federal agents, who discovered that once the money was cleaned up, it was being sent back to 7 phone stores in Mexico, likely owned or being extorted by the cartel. I truly felt that it would be a disservice to the city of Houston for me to ever attempt to explain what's going on there without mentioning one of the biggest and oldest problems in human civilization. Long before the Romans coined the term slave, it has always been custom for different tribes and raiding bands to forcibly take people into their own servitude or sell them into the household of another for the right price. And unfortunately, as long as corruption in politics keeps majority of the wealth in the hands of a very few, this problem will continue to persist. This is why Mexico, a country with far more skilled young civilians per capita, is full of people trying to get out. And some people really wonder why many of them will do anything to come across our border. It's a shame that the U.S., one of the countries with the biggest wealth gaps on earth, is still a much better option than many countries to raise a family. It's still nothing compared to much of Central and South America, as well as some Asian countries and many countries in the Balkans, which many Americans have probably never even heard of. Houston itself has many problems, but it still is a wonderful place where many have come from all over the world and experienced their own version of the American dream. The old capital of the once independent Republic of Texas has the largest concentration of healthcare and research institutions constitutions on earth, a very impressive feat when considering where America usually sits when compared to other countries education-wise. If Texas was an independent country, it'd be the 8th largest economy on earth. But good thing the Constitution made statehood eternal, because we would truly miss Texas if they ever left us. And yes, Texas does actually celebrate independence twice, one for Mexico and one for 1776. It truly is the crown jewel of America. Thanks for watching.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie, that's cold though.
Other
Like,
countries
I ain't know all
education-wise,
that.
if Texas...
Shout out Chop University, but I ain't gonna lie, school they ain't even teach us that shit.